Hi, my name is Graneshia. I am here to refute the main claim, big companies taking jobs overseas is hurting America. My advocate's first supporting claim being, big companies taking jobs overseas is hurting the chance of unemployment rate going down. 2, big companies are not only making new jobs overseas, but relocating the ones currently in the U.S. And 3, big companies shipping off employment overseas is hurting not only our economy, but our morale. First, I would like to start off saying that the purpose of her speech, she stated, was that the government should interfere or reduce the number of jobs sent overseas. But that, in fact, is a claim of policy, which can't be supported by a claim of fact. The supporting claim, number 1, I'll be responding to, big companies taking jobs overseas is hurting the chance of the unemployment rate going down. I found that according to the Employment Development Department, there are many things that can contribute to the unemployment rate going down. Some being rapid changes in technology, recessions, inflation, disability, attitude towards employers, and willingness to work. I will show that recessions, willingness to work, and disability are present factors hurting the unemployment rate, not just jobs being sent overseas. First, we've just experienced 2 recessions in the past decade, 2001 and one in 2008. And last week, we in class almost screamed out yes when we were asked if we felt like we were still in a recession. And according to the Concise Encyclopedia of Economics, existing trends of people on welfare who would not otherwise be counted as unemployed are contributing to the unwillingness to work, because they report that they are looking for work, but in fact evidence shows that they in fact are not working for years. Unemployment benefits also aid in the unwillingness to work. The wage the government pays, 55%, seems comparable after thinking of the average 11% state tax charged in the U.S. and the average 18% Social Security tax charged in the U.S. So the 26% loss seems worth it just to sit around. In addition, according to the disability.gov, a current population report done by the U.S. Census Bureau reported that out of the 291.1 million people in the U.S., 54.4 million people are reported to have some level of disability, and 35 million report a severe disability, totaling 20.7% of the U.S. population as being disabled. In fact, CBS News reports there would have to be an estimated 10 million jobs created each year to even get us out of unemployment. So as you can see, these 3 factors, as proven over time of the U.S. history and by the U.S. government, to be the accounting factors in the current unemployment rate. Which brings me to my advocate's second claim. Big companies are not only making new jobs, but sending existing ones too. She stated that tech jobs and other things we are going to school for are in danger. However, she gave no evidence saying that the foreigners didn't have any higher education or was more or at least equally qualified as their American counterparts. In fact, according to the educational attainment in the United States as of 2009, only 7.62% of the U.S. population, including the elderly, has even ever obtained the skills associated with factory or tech work. In addition, 38.54% of the living population has ever obtained associate's and or bachelor's degree. CBS News reports the U.S. ranks 14 in the world as far as education. The central idea of where the U.S. stands on educational level brings me to my advocate's third claim. Big companies shipping off employment overseas is hurting not only our economy, but our morale. But according to Ian Cowie, who is a financial editor for the Daily Telegraph for the past 22 years, says the number of people with jobs jumped 184,000 since January. Now, starting with the definition of morale, it is the degree of mental or moral confidence of a person or group, spirit or of optimism. I find the mental confidence could be tainted because of the lack of education or the unwillingness to work. Competence is defined as belief in oneself, one's power or abilities. Self-confidence, self-reliance, assurance, or assurance. Our moral confidence as a whole could attribute to the millions on disability, or once again, the mass majority who are not educated. I conclude the claim big companies taking jobs overseas is hurting America was not proven for the following reasons. First, evading the fact that the three factors, willingness to work, disability, and the recent recessions are present contributing factors to the unemployment rate. Second, the U.S. has seen a spike of 184,000 jobs created in just the last month. Third, the advocate used the claim of policy to support a claim of fact. Fourth, in the advocate's own words, outsourcing has been going on for decades. With that, I challenge Americans are just not that weak. So I ask, will your inability to find a job hurt your morale? Thank you.
All right, you labeled the main and secondary claims clearly. It sounds like you're basically arguing that the advocate's presenting a claim of policy, and that's problematic. You kind of come back to the claim of fact issue and explain what it is. It sounds like you're going to argue counter-causality on most of these points, and I thought you did a good job on the recession issue at the beginning. There's an explanation about how there are a variety of factors that account for unemployment. I think you do need to challenge the advocate's evidence on this particular point, the number of jobs that they claim to have been shipped overseas or lost overseas. At the end, you make an argument that says that this kind of thing has been going on for decades, and it hasn't, really made a substantial dent. Well, haven't these other things also been going on for decades with people's unwillingness to work, or recessions, or disabilities? So I think that you need to be able to do a little bit more quantification there. I'm not sure when you talk about how our morale ought to be improving because we got 184,000 jobs last month. Given that you've said that we need to have 10 million jobs created annually to get us, out of this unemployment situation, I'm not sure that anybody would be jumping for joy based on that number. On your transition to the second point, it was very clear. You basically have a challenge that there's a lack of evidence from the advocate. And then you talk about how the population has largely not been prepared to do a lot of these kinds of jobs anyway, and it's got more to do with education. So again, a counterclaim on that point. So I thought that you did a pretty good job on the counterclaims on the issues, developing them. You need a little bit more information to do the contrast with the advocate's claim. Okay, thank you. Megan Ford.